All right. If any of you have a question, unmute and ask it. I don't, I get rid of you, so I can't see you. So at any rate, ask a question if you have a question. So the title is Ready, Fire, Aim, which is what so many of us do in many different aspects of our lives. We just don't take the time to make sure that we're looking in the right direction. We just don't take the time to make sure we have a plan. We just don't take the time to design a strategy before we jump into whatever it is that we're doing. And so that is what this presentation is all about. Oh, and because I touched the bar, I have to start over. Okay, so the premise is that day one of unemployment, this is what's going on with you. Day one of unemployment, you suddenly are terrified. Day one of unemployment, you realize that you don't have an income. Day one of unemployment, you wonder, what am I supposed to do first? Am I supposed to do my resume? Am I supposed to build my network? Maybe I should drink heavily today because I probably won't by tomorrow. What are you supposed to do first? Where do you start? And it's a very scary time when you suddenly realize that you are without an income. And anytime you are at the end of a segment, anytime I always liken the first day of unemployment to the first day after you're divorced. In some ways, it could be that that you're not distraught, but you are different. You are alone. You are your context has changed, and it's such a fearful time. Plus, in many cases, when you're unemployed or when you're newly divorced, it's a gut punch to your confidence level, and so we have a tendency often to just want to fix it. You want to get another job right away. You want to get more income coming in. You want to jump into another relationship because you don't like this one, being alone kind of piece. So two possible solutions to that chaos that's going on in your head are these books that I learned about from one of the job seekers that came to me for coaching. And she said she had a group, a SWAT team, an accountability group, and they were working through these two books. And she kept talking about how helpful the books had been. And so I bought the books and I thought, wow, this is some really good advice. And the reason that it is, I think, is such good advice is that it gives you some very specific instructions. Do this. In the 2-hour job search, for example, they say, do this, and spend 10 minutes on this, spend 10 minutes on this, spend 5 minutes doing this. Do not go down a rabbit hole. You've only got 5 minutes for this. Do not click on a job opening. You need to focus on this particular assignment right now. We'll go back to that later. So it's structure. It's a structured job search. And for lots of us, that is what we need. We need the structure. So I'm going to talk about the 2-hour job search first. The person that has created it is Steve Dalton. It's very funny. This is his LinkedIn headshot. And on the picture that's in the book, he's got about a 6-inch beard, so he looks a little bit like a mountain man, very different from the clean cut guy you see there with the chiseled jaw. He is the program director and senior career consultant at Duke University's, I'm hoping that that's pronounced Fuqua, School of Business. And the 2-hour job search is now a formal part of the curriculum for all first-year Duke MBAs. It was a process a methodology that he created using the students, and they discovered that it was so successful for them that now it's mandatory. And you can go into the website. That particular website talks a lot about the book, but he also has a LinkedIn group which I have joined, and the 2 hour job. It's the 2 hour job search, a Q&A forum, and so people that are going through the book and following its instructions page by page by page can go into this LinkedIn group, pose a question. One of the things I love about the book is it says it's got many, many areas of troubleshooting where somebody says, but what about this? Or what if I did this and nobody responded? Then what am I supposed to do? And so it says, in that case, you do this. And they provide hand-holding and additional information and advice throughout the entire book. Both of these books, they don't just have you buy the book and then leave you at the altar, so to speak. You buy the book, you join the group, you've got people that are there to answer your questions. You've got people that are there to say, if this doesn't work, go here. They provide different kinds of free supplemental information. It's really a very different kind of job search book as far as I'm concerned. So there is that. And I'm hoping that some of you will go into that and you'll join the LinkedIn group. You don't have to have bought the book yet, but I'll tell you that they're going to want you to go through the process. And I'm going to show you what that involves. We see these statistics about networking. Usually the range that I see most often is 70 to 85% of jobs are gotten through networking. This U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics said 85%, and that was the most recent number that I found in my research. And so you know that you're supposed to network, you know that you're supposed to reach out to people, you know that you're supposed to have informational interviews with the people that you're trying to network with. And all of those things are so hard. They're so hard. We don't want to do that part. We don't want to reach out to people we don't know and say, can you help me? Can you introduce me to the hiring manager? Can you walk my resume through to the decision maker when you don't even know who I am? I mean, how are you supposed to do this? And especially if any of you have moved here from another area. And Austin is a who do you know city. And how are you supposed to meet people? And how are you, they always say it's not what you know, it's who you know. And then that has been refined to it's not what you know, and it's not who you know, it's who knows you. I mean, I know Michael Dell. Michael Dell doesn't know me. And then it's not even only that. It's not what you know. It's not whom you know. It's not who knows you, but it's who knows you and is willing to help you, is willing to champion you, is willing to give you the kind of advice that will help you get that job. And how in the world are you supposed to create that kind of relationship? So it's tough, it's challenging. So according to this book, and you know what it looks like, so I have read this thing through, there are only 3 parts, and he really goes into just this process of figuring out what companies you want to work for, and then having a very structured system as to how you find people that might possibly be mentors or connections at those companies. How do you reach out to them? What do you say? What do you ask them to do? And then how do you persuade them to champion you? That's really the only piece of that. And it's the 2-hour job search. That doesn't mean that you only look for a job for 2 hours. It means that it can take you 2 hours to set up the structure. And then you go off and have some fun and you start working your plan the next day. So the first part is to create a spreadsheet of 40 companies in 40 minutes. And he says, take 10 minutes. And I'm going to have other slides that will go into this in a little bit more detail. So you're thinking, how can you do that in 40 minutes? How can you just even list 40 companies in 40 minutes? He splits it up. Part of it is the first 10 are dream companies, places that you would love to work. And so some of these are places like, I've heard some really, really, really good things lately about Microsoft, about how they treat their people. And that puts them in a very different category from any of those other big ones like Google or Facebook or Amazon, that Microsoft does some really nice things for its employees. So I might want to work for Microsoft. And it says in that first 10 companies that you're going to put down there that are your dream companies, it doesn't matter where they're located. It doesn't matter whether they have an opening for you. Nothing matters, but that's a company that I would love to work for. Whether it's realistic or it's not realistic, you throw them on the list. You've only got 40 minutes. You got to move fast. So you throw them on the list. There's another category of places that companies that are trending. And so you can often find a list of those by just Googling it. What are the trending companies, or even the trending companies in Austin? Or you look through the Austin Business Journal and you find companies that have gotten a big chunk of venture capital over the year. And so you put, you add those numbers, the trending ones. You get 10 companies that are trending. And sometimes you can, it used to be, I don't think they do this anymore. He refers to it in the book. It used to be that you could look up a company that was trending, like let's say Airbnb, and you look up a trending company and on their company page on LinkedIn, and it would say people who looked up, oh crap, people who looked up this company also looked up these companies, and it shows you similar companies, competitor companies, or companies that are in the same place. There we go. All right. Then there's another one where it's people that you know that work for those companies, and so you can put those companies down. And then the last one is 10 companies that have postings for people that are like you, people that have your kind of qualifications. So you get that list really fast, and you put it on a spreadsheet, and then you add companies. You put a little chit mark. If you know people that work there, then they're potential advocates for you. And so you either put a Y for yes or an N for no. And it could be that later on, when you really do some serious searching, you will find people who that you didn't realize worked for that company, but they could be potential advocates. And so you change that N to a Y. You also spend 5 minutes giving a number to how much you really want to work for that company. I used to always say that if I didn't have to worry about making money, I'd want to work for Book People. I love Book People. I used to hang out there all the time. So I would have a really high score, a 3 for Book People, because I would love to work there, a company that you really, really would love to work for. And so there are those, but so the motivation can make up for a lot of other things when you start sorting your numbers, and then the posting things. So companies that have postings. And then you sort in your Excel spreadsheet, you sort it, and I'm going to show you how you do that, in order to identify your top 5 companies. So of the 40 companies, what are your top 5? And then you start contacting people, trying to set up informational interviews with people. There's a very specific system that he advises as to how you do that. What do you say? How do you reach out to them? A follow-up 3 business days after you sent your first invitation to meet with you. You send them a follow-up 7 business days after you made your initial contact. You do a final follow-up. If they have not gotten back to you within those 7 days, they're off the list and you go on to your next contact with that company. And then when you finally get a face-to-face with them or a telephone conversation with them, and for an informational conversation, what I love about this book is he says, here's what you say. Here are the things that you're trying to ask about. Here's how you control this conversation. There are 5 parts to this conversation. And so here are the kinds of questions that you ask, or the kinds of comments that you make that's going to take you through these 5 areas that have proven to be successful. So there is that. And so when you're prioritizing, the LAMP list is the list, the advocacy, the motivation, and the posting. So that's how they get the acronym of LAMP. So the dream employers, and I just thought, wow, who would be my dream employers? I would love to work for Icon, the three-dimensional building company that's making houses out of concrete. I think that would be, it's cutting edge. It is trending. They're also going to be building some stuff on the moon. How cool is that? They've been featured on Sunday Morning and a lot of other shows. So they're an Austin company. That would be so cool to be able to work there. Am I qualified to work there? Probably not. I have no idea, but man, I'd love to work there. So they would be on my list. And who knows? I mean, maybe there would be as they hire more and more people, maybe they would need a trainer in their HR department when they really have a lot of folks who are working for them and they've spread themselves all over Texas and beyond. But right now, we don't care if there's a posting for me. We're just putting a name on a list. Genentech is a pharmaceutical company headquartered in Palo Alto that has made some life-saving cancer drugs. I'd love to work for a company like that that's really doing good in the world. They've also have a drug that's been very successful for multiple sclerosis. And so, yeah, Genentech, I'd love to work for a company that saves lives. Northwestern, I'd love to work for pretty much any university campus, but I just went to a family week for a granddaughter who's at Northwestern, and the academic standards of that school just kind of blew me away. And I thought, whoa, I would love to just do anything here in a campus like this, or Stanford, or I don't know, Harvey Mudd, or just any kind of a university where there's just so much energy, academic energy, that your mind just your IQ goes up just from being breathing the air. So there's that. Public theater in New York, they do all kinds of avant-garde theater. The guy that started the public theater, Joseph Papp, also started Shakespeare in the Park. Hamilton started at public theater. In the Heights started at public theater. Hair started at public theater. There's just all kinds of innovative shows that have started there. So yeah, fun. I'd love to. United Nations. Yikes, what a tough job. Anything, anywhere. I'd love to. So my dream employers would just come from all over the place. And it's aspirational. It's a wish list. But you never know. You never know. So I'd throw it on there. My advocate people, sometimes you get this from alumni lists. Sometimes you get it from being in a LinkedIn group with somebody and they work for a company like that. So you try to find 10 of those groups. Actively hiring employers, you get that from Indeed, and then trending employers. And you can get that from news resources and from the Business Journal, etc. So in your spreadsheet, here's how you organize it. The company names are the first column. Do you know someone who works there? It's either a yes or a no. Motivation rank, 3 for I really, really, really want to work there. If you're pretty cool about the company, but it's not like obsessive, they might be a 2. if you might want to work there, it might be a 1. And then a 0 is you give them that score when you don't know enough to even know if you want to work for them or not. You don't know anybody who works there. You'd have to do some research before you know. So they're listed as a 0. And then postings, you go into Indeed, or another job board like that. If they have at least one posting of a job that's a good fit for you, then you might give them a 3. If you find some jobs that are pretty good fit, not perfect, but okay, you could work with that, then they're a 2. If they have no current relevant postings, but they're still in your list of 40, then they get a 1. And then you sort. And the way that you sort it, the top priority in your sorting is motivation. So the ones that have a 3 for motivation are going to be listed first, and then 2s, and then 1. And then you can go in and say, and I want my second priority to be, do they have postings? So again, if it's a 3 on motivation and it's a 3 on postings, then that's going to be at the top of your list. The third priority is, do you know somebody there? And you say, I want that to be in reverse alphabetical order. So that means that, yes, you know somebody there, would move that. So the 3, yes, would be at the top of your sorting list of the 40. And from that, you want to identify your top 5 companies that you would like to work for. And again, it doesn't necessarily matter whether it seems realistic. It could be that for the right job at the right company, you would relocate. It could be that for the right job at the right company, you'd be able to work remotely. It could be that for the right job at the right company, with somebody on the inside that would help you work there, that it would be something that you would never have thought. You'd never considered that you might be able to work for that company. And now suddenly it seems as though it might actually be possible. Oh, what a mind-blowing concept. And if you have a company that would be a dream company, but you don't really know enough about them exactly to know if you want to work there, you might want to do some quick research and find out what the reviews are for people. Are they involved with the community? Do they share your values? Is it really a company that you're strongly motivated to work for? So you might want to give them a number rather than just a 0. And then once you've identified the top 5 on your list, and obviously you're going to be working down that list of 40, and you're going to be changing out that list of 40 as you learn about more companies. You're going to add more to the companies where you might want to work, or you're going to read an article about something and say, man, I'd like to work for that company, and here it is, it's in Austin. Or you find a job posting on Indeed, and you're like, whoa, I never even heard of that company before, but I'm going to add them to my list because they've got a perfect job for me. So your list is fluid and dynamic, and you can constantly be changing it out. But once you've got your top 5 employers, and you pursue your inside connections at that company, and you get their contact information through Hunter.io or some other way. So you connect with them on LinkedIn, and then you're going to send them, oh, look who's here, Robert Woodcock. Wow. He's probably working, but it's good to see him. And so then you send what they call a 6-point email to your top contact. And when people in the past have done this over the last 10 or 15 years, by the way, Steve Dalton wrote the 2-Hour Job Search book. The first edition he wrote in 2010, and the second edition, which is dramatically updated, It was written in 2020. So at any rate, so this is a system that tends to get you an informational interview with a person, a targeted person, 20 to 40% of the time. And you're like, oh, only 20 to 40%? Well, let's think 40%. Let's think positively. In that case, it would be almost half the time. And if you don't proactively go after somebody where you're trying to meet with them, then you know, you're wasting a lot more time just sending out a resume without somebody on the inside of a company to advocate for you. That's like only works 10% of the time. So anyway, think of it in that perspective. And then he's got this system where if you don't get a response in 3 business days, you send them a follow-up. And then if you haven't gotten a response and it's 7 business days after your initial contact, you send them another follow-up. And if they don't respond to that, you're done. Move on to your second best contact at that company. So there's a very, very structured schedule. And he said you put it on like a Google Calendar. So 3 business days, you get a thing that says, hey, you got a contact. You have to do a 3B contact with this person at this company. After 7 business days, it's time to do a 7B contact with this person at this company. And so you're constantly just minding the prompts that your calendar is sending you about, now you send this follow-up email, now you send this follow-up email to this person. So it's very structured. You're very busy, but once you've done this scheduled contact with people and you keep moving on to your next contact and your next contact at this company until you get somebody that'll talk to you. So you're going to be trying to identify the 2 most promising inside connections for each of your top 5 employers. And if you've contacted, God darn it, if you've contacted them and neither of the top 2, then go to the next one. Go to your 3rd contact, go to your 4th contact, go to your 10th contact, and keep trying to find somebody. They talked about a situation where somebody had gone through all of the big decision makers, and finally, this senior level person was down to a junior person, a person that was more junior than they were. But they said, you can still get some really valuable information from a junior person. And what are some of the challenges that you're facing in your particular role on these projects? Or, what do you see as the as to where the company is trending in their new product lines or something like that? You can still get really valuable information, even if it's somebody who's more junior to you, even though your best contacts are going to be people that are senior to you, that might be hiring you, that you might be working for as a direct report. And the rules for the 6-point email, this is your initial outreach to a person that you're going to try to oh, I see what's happening, that you're going to try to reach out to try to get a meeting. It has to be very brief. Nobody wants to hear a whole lot of information. You're going to be asking for insight and advice, not job leads. You're going to state your connection to them first. How are you connected? And make your request in the form of a question ending with a question mark. So you're not going to say, would it be possible for a conversation or something like that? You're going to say, can we set something up to talk about this? Define your interest first narrowly and then broadly, and keep over half the word count about the contact person, not about you. I keep admitting people, and then when I admit people, I have to start over with my PowerPoint lesson learned. Okay. So here's an example. So in the subject line, you say your product management experience at Red Hat. Hi, Jeff. I'm Brooke, a fellow Duke MBA. May I chat with you for a few minutes about your product management experience at Red Hat? I'm trying to learn more about product management in the North Carolina tech space, so your insights would be greatly appreciated. Best regards, Brooke. Very short. First, it's the connection. Then it's the question. May I chat with you for a few minutes about this, about your job at Red Hat? And that is your narrow, specific intent. And then the broader intent, I want to learn more about product management in the North Carolina tech space. Your insight would be greatly appreciated. So that is it. It's a 6-point email. A lot of it can be copied from one to another, but it's also easy to target a specific person with a specific skill set and background. And so then you send that out to that person. And then you go into your calendar and you say 3 business days later, I'm going to send the 3B backup, and then follow up. And then the 7 business days after I send this, I'm going to send Jeff the 7B follow up. And that's it. That's it. So I just told you that. And then if there's no response from contact number 1 in 3 business days, you send your 6-point email to the same company, contact number 2. So you've got all of this stuff coming at you from your Google Calendar about send this backup, send this follow-up, send this follow-up, send this follow-up, and then start scheduling people. So it's been a very, very successful approach. And it's a specific to-do. It's not where you're wallowing around trying to just send out resumes for job postings, which statistically has been proven not to be a very strong way to find a job. Networking, getting people lined up who know you, who will advocate for you, is the most successful way. But it takes some time and energy. But one of the things that keeps us from doing this is that we don't know what to say. And I love this book because it says, here are the things that you can talk about. Here are the things that you need to ask them. Here are the things that you need to know. And so yay. So the third part, the first was prioritize your companies. The second one was contact these people. And then the third one is, now that you're getting a few face-to-face informational interviews, you have to persuade them to help you. So how do you do it? You do a bunch of research first on what's going on with the company. Do they have good reviews? Are they expanding? Are they contracting? Are they making changes within the company? Do they have a new product launch? What's the current news about them? You prepare for the big 4 questions that they're likely to ask you. Tell me about yourself. Why do you want to work for this company? Why do you want to work in this role? Why do you want to work in this industry? And however you answer that, will give them some additional information about you. And then small talk. And it's like, really? I have to prepare for small talk? Gee, aren't you loving this weather? Really? But small talk can be very targeted small talk. And in the book, they give you a lot of information about how you answer what seems to be trivial, insignificant stuff. For example, if somebody says, did you by any chance watch the football game? Especially somebody who's not very sports oriented, you don't want to say, I don't watch sports. Because your rapport, the 2 things that you're trying to do in an informational interview is, number 1, create a relationship, create rapport, and number 2, get information, right? And so if they say, did you watch the game? And you say, I don't ever watch sports. What have you just done? That's obviously something that person's interested in. And if you say, I grew up in a house where we didn't do that, but I'm so intrigued by it. Tell me that. So that's your team. Why is that your team when you don't live there? How did that happen? Uh, get engaged and talk to them, follow up on something that is obviously of interest to them. If they're energized about something, uh, don't diss it, pursue it, and talk about how interested you are in learning about that a little bit more, or what your related connection might be. So small talk can grow into big talk. It can grow into the thing that connects you with somebody. Um, and then the next part of the informational interview is the question and answer. And you're going to ask questions. Most of the questions will be coming from you. And most of the listening will also be coming from you. This is a time when you want to hear what they have to say. You're going to take notes. You're going to pay attention. You're going to listen way more than you talk. But you start off with talking about trends. What do you see as the biggest trend that's happening in the industry right now with relation to the supply chain problems that we're dealing with in this country? Whatever. Insights. I would appreciate your insight as to what the next 2 years is going to bring before the election, or how the next election might impact whether your insights. And those two areas, you're treating your connection like the expert, right? They're the expert about this. They're the expert about this industry. They're the expert about this company. They're the expert about this job. And with advice, that is the transitional kinds of question that brings them into more of a mentor role, where it's like, what would you advise somebody starting off in this industry with regard to positioning, whatever. But then they're kind of on your side, giving you advice. And that's really where you want them to go. And then you're asking questions about resources. You're asking questions about what are the next steps? What do I need to do in order to, position myself here? So during the advice stage, the contact changes from expert to mentor. And then there's the next steps and follow up. You send them an immediate thank you for your time. And then a week out, you send them a follow-up as to here are the actions I've taken on your recommendations. Reminding them again, thank you so much again for taking the time to talk to me a week ago. I wanted to let you know the actions that I've taken based on the recommendations that you made during that discussion. I have gotten one such letter. I saved it for years and years. This was when I was working still at the Workforce Solutions office, and I coached. I put that in quotes because this guy was like a senior VP, global VP for the Americas for Coca-Cola, I think. And I think he was headquartered in Mexico City, and somehow he made his way to Austin, and he came to me for advice on his job search. And I thought, I'm not sure I'm qualified to give you advice on your job search, since I don't travel in that rarefied air of the senior global VP. But anyway, we talked, and like 2 days later, I got a letter from him signed, not in ballpoint, in ink. You could tell. And he had written this letter. It's not like he had a secretary anymore to do it for him. He had written me the most wonderful letter where he talked about how valuable my time was and how he so appreciated the fact that I had shared my time with him. And he said, I wanted you to know I have already taken some actions on your recommendations. Here is what I have already done. These are the things that I am intending to do in the following week. And then essentially something like, if there's ever something that I can do for you, to repay you for your kindness and your time. Anyway, I kept that letter and treasured that letter. I probably still have it in a box somewhere, because I just thought it was so professional and yet so personal and so kind. and for him to keep me apprised of his job search was important. Once we used to hear that all the time, where I would connect somebody with somebody, say on LinkedIn, and they would meet, have a conversation with this person that I had referred, and then that was essentially it. They would say, "Hey, whatever happened to that person? Did they ever get a job?" When you get a job, definitely when you get a job, and very often before that, you need to make sure that you send a notice to all of the people that helped you in your job search, that took their time to give you advice or helped you or introduced you or whatever, and say, "I wanted to share my good news with all of you that after uh, interviewing with various companies for 3 months, I finally landed a position that I am very excited about. I start on da 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 in this role with this company, and I want you to know that none of it would have happened without a lot of assistance from a lot of people, and including you. And I want you to know that. So you need to make sure that you take the time to keep people apprised of what's going on with you. They want to share your good news. All right. So there is that. The second book is called Never Search Alone, by this guy. And I want you to know I have never read a book, not a Pulitzer Prize winning book, that had 12 pages of testimonials before you even get to the foreword. 74 testimonials about how this particular job search strategy had transformed the success rate of many job seekers. He is the founder and CEO of a council, a support group called Collaborative Gain, which he is all about accountability groups, support groups, SWAT teams, is what we call it in job search with a team. But in every single aspect of life, he says, if you will create a team of people who are involved, it's like a nonprofit that has an advisory board. You create, yeah, you got your board of directors, they make all the policy and so forth, but you have an advisory board to sort of give you advice, make sure that you're considering this, sharing information, counseling you on proper, I don't know, procedures and things like that. But the advisory board, and his advisory board of his collaborative gain, is senior level people who brainstorm and connect and provide feedback with other senior level leaders, and help them work through problems and challenges with the products and services that they provide, with their companies and the management of their companies, and with their personal careers. So at any rate, he is walking the walk of creating these teams, not just giving you that advice. He was for a long time was the CEO of a customer experience firm called Creative Good, that had as its clients all the big ones, the Google and Facebook and Amazon, et cetera, et cetera. And he's a graduate of Harvard Business School. And I just downloaded this. You can go into his website, and I hope that all of you will go into the philterry.com website. And there's all kinds of free stuff. There's free templates, and there's a 16-page checklist if you just left or lost your job. And you can download that and save it to your computer free of charge if you do not want to print it out. I printed it out because I like to write on stuff. So there is that. Another reason that I was impressed with him was, he says, okay, if you're in this category, if you are looking for a promotion, if you are somebody who is trying to negotiate your new salary on your new job, and if you just left your job or you lost your job, you should make sure that you just go in there and click on the checklist and go through that. But he doesn't start with, okay, the first thing you do is form a SWAT team, or the first thing you do is make your list of 40 companies that you want to work with. He says, the first thing you do, take a break. You need at least a few days or a week, even a month. Take a break. You don't have to rush into this. Take a break. I also go into some suggestions for a few key things that you should do before you start your job search, including get a therapist or a coach, establish a routine, get up early, don't sleep in, exercise regularly, eat healthily, avoid rebound jobs, just like rebound relationships. They don't tend to last long or be too successful. Navigate some business friendships. Set up your search office. But at any rate, both of these guys that wrote these two books say, don't start right away. Wait till you have a plan. Wait till you have a strategy. There's no hurry for this. You want to make the right decision. You want to make the right moves. So there is that. So when you're ready, he says the first thing you need to do is set up what he calls a job search council. With Launchpad, we call it Search with a Team. It's a SWAT team, a former job club that a lot of you knew, Hired Texas, we called them accountability action. No, wait. Yeah. Career action teams, CAT teams. But it was an accountability group. Conduct a listening tour, he says. And that's not like at a museum, but you make a list of people that you want to ask information about. And part of this information is going to be information about you. What is their impression about you? Or if you were in my situation, so here's my situation. I have this kind of degree. I have this kind of experience. If you were in my shoes, what kind of work would you be going after? And so it's brainstorming. A lot of it's brainstorming, but you're getting their advice. So they're mentoring you. And when you mentor somebody, you have a vested interest in that person. And so there's a listening tour, and it goes into a great deal of detail in the book as to how you coordinate that. And a very important thing, they do three things that I like. One is the Job Search Council. One is you either on your own or with your Job Search Council, you create what is your candidate market fit. What you can get today and what you need to do to get the role you want. So you have to identify what would be my dream job, what would be the best possible job that I would like. They given it some advice in there of a guy that wants to be a chief operating officer, who wants to be a COO. And everybody tells him, you really don't have the qualifications yet to be a COO. His Job Search Council said that they felt that he should get, what did they say? A more of a junior, take a couple steps down. And he wanted to be a COO in the tech world. He didn't have tech experience. And they said, take a couple steps down in a really good tech company, and then build up your credibility in the tech world, and you'll eventually get there. And he didn't like that advice. And he had 50 interviews with no job offers for what he was hoping to get. And then the 51st company, he got a job offer, but almost immediately he could tell it wasn't a good fit. And his job search council had advised him on that too. They saw some red flags, and as it turned out, the company went out of business shortly after he got hired for different kinds of fraudulent activities. And so it was a wasted year with nothing to show for it. And then eventually he did exactly what they had advised him to do. He got a job with a really good tech company, but it was several steps down, and gained some experience and some credibility. And within 2 years, he had the COO position that he was looking for all along. So getting advice from people and following that advice and having a sounding board where people, and if we only had a job search council for our relationships, and they would say, I don't know, this one's got anger issues. Do you think that's going to get better? Or is that going to get worse? I don't know. This one seems to spend way too much money. You think that's going to get better when that person has your income as well? Or is that going to be worse? So there are people that might help you think more clearly about a decision or a direction. So you figure out, what do I want to do and what will the market allow me to do? And so you get your candidate market fit. And how am I going to ultimately get the job that I want? You start networking, you start interviewing. And then the other part where I think that this book is particularly strong is in a salary negotiation. And he says, do not negotiate only salary. That's what everybody does. You need to negotiate, what kind of budget am I going to have to do my job? What resources are available? One time, I know we've got some product managers out there. One time at Product Camp, I went to a presentation on what are the questions that product managers should ask the interviewer when they're in a product management interview. And one question that I remember was, will there be an engineer, a technical person that will help be a liaison between me and the tech team, knowing that this person was not going to be able to fill that that role himself. And so it's like, what resources am I going to have that will enable me to be successful in this role? And what kind of support will I have in order for me to manage this company? We have to get rid of this $10 million of debt. I'd like that to be a condition of my employment, that the president of the company take care of that before I come on board, because I'm not going to be able to be successful if I have to deal with that as well. So I thought all of those were things that you don't usually hear in a salary negotiation class. So there is that. Now, are you going to follow one book and do all of their recommendations? Are you going to follow the other book and do all of their recommendations? Is there a way that you could read both books and do pieces of each one to create a unique job search strategy that's going to hit all the targets for you? So both of them recommend, as I said before, that you start slowly. You gather information, you gather support from a lot of different places. Looking for a job is too scary to do by yourself, and it's not wise for you to do it by yourself. Get a SWAT team, get a job search council, get a team of people that are going to be supporting you, and you're going to be supporting them as well. It's a team of unemployed people, probably, that are helping each other through this process. Assess, design a strategy. Both offer continuing free online support. Join both of those groups. Both join the website and join the LinkedIn group, and continue to ask questions and get advice from these two very talented people who are making themselves available to you. I mean, it's unbelievable that they didn't just write a book and move on, that they're continuing to provide resources. And so if you do the job search council, the candidate market fit, and the negotiation from the Never Search Alone book, and you do the lamp list and the informational interviews from the 2-Hour Job Search book. And that one is the fact that they give you a script, that they give you, here are some really good questions that you should ask these people. I thought the questions were brilliant. And so I think sometimes we need a little nudge as to, how do we move this conversation from this to this? How do we take it up a level? So anyway, there you go. That is the presentation. And I'm hoping that that you all get these books. They're probably in the library, but they're not terribly expensive. They were like $15 or $18 or something like that. But just sort of try something new that you hadn't done before and see what you think. And if you have problems with the process, go into their LinkedIn groups and talk to them about it and say, I tried this and this and this and it didn't work. Now what do I do? And you will find that the 2-hour job search is full of situations like that, questions and answers in the book, where they say, what about this? What if they don't respond? What if I do this and they don't answer me? Then what do I do? And it says, okay, we've thought of that. Here's what you do. So they give you lots of answers to your questions.